Welcome to Radical Release, a healing series within There's No Way I Signed Up for This. This series was born in the in-between, the moments no one claps for, the silent breakdowns, the whispered prayers, the kind of healing that happens when no one's watching. This isn't about getting it all right. It's about learning to return to yourself with gentleness, with faith, and with enough grace to know that not having all the answers still means you're enough. Here, we talk about love after loss, peace after chaos, and how to hear God again, even when it's been quiet for a very long time. So take a breath. This is where we begin the radical release. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Radical Release. If this is your first time listening, I want to thank you for joining us in this sacred space to have these so important conversations. We're here to give you all, including myself, permission to finally stop living in survival mode and begin the process of living through healing. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at how to focus on peace. As you know, the Radical Release framework is built on forgiveness, focus, and realignment. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how we're not built for chaos. God never wanted that. We are built to thrive, to enjoy, to experience this life at the highest capacity. And when we're living in fear, in trauma, in chaos, we are always focused in that direction. So it's time to turn ourselves around and face the light. When you're living in high functioning chaos for so long, it feels normal. So for some of us, we don't even know when we're doing it. An aha moment for me was a therapist told me that I was addicted to work. And at first, being young too, right? I'm like, what sense does that make? How are you addicted to work? Like, I have to pay bills. But it's not the addiction to we do have to pay bills and whatnot. It's how you show up, how you're doing it. And that's what we're going to kind of unpackage today. When you are living in high functioning chaos, when peace comes in, it doesn't feel normal. It's like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You've become the one who always knows what to do in the crisis because we're always prepared for it, right? Okay, if this happens, then we got to do this. If this happens, we have to do this. And for me, that's like a safety net. So I'll have a little transparency moment here. I'm always preparing for a crisis. And sadly enough, because of that, or just, circumstances, when something happens, I usually have a plan. So I'm not saying that's not something to have. It's good to have a plan. But when that is your normal sense of functioning, like everything is here to hurt you, it's taking away that joy, that thrill, that experience that you could be living, because you're always looking for the worst, right? And that's what we talked about the last few episodes, is what you focus on is what you see. So let's do some readjustment here, right? Let's do some refocusing here. You can work through grief. You can clean your house from top to bottom through heartache. You can show up for others while your own soul is quietly withering away. But we're not created to live in reaction mode or trauma response mode, right? Because that's usually what it is. The busyness, the working, the cleaning, the showing up for others. It's because you're able to put your focus on something else and not your own pain. And I've said this multiple times before. What you ignore, right, you can't address. What you don't admit, you can't work on healing it. So let's first talk about when peace feels foreign, right? When we think about peace, like just for a moment, what are some images that you get in your mind when you think about the word peace? What does that feel like? And this short exercise is going to tell you some things, right? Because some people might be able to automatically, immediately give me an answer on what peace looks like, what peace feels like. But there are going to be some of you who can't give me a visual of what that looks like, who can't describe to me what it feels like. Or you might even be someone who says, I don't even know what that is. And that is okay. And that's why we're here. Because let's be honest, if you grew up in dysfunction, or if you've had to survive trauma, peace can feel foreign. It can almost feel dangerous, right? Like somebody's kind of pulling you in. This feels too good. What's the setup here? Who sent you, right? When things are too quiet, your nervous system starts to throw that check engine light, right? What's about to go wrong? Who's going to leave? What's about to happen that I am not prepared for? And sadly, that's not discernment. That's conditioning. And I've talked to many individuals that I've worked with one-on-one and in coaching where the question is, okay, how do I know this is in my intuition? How do I know it's not a trauma response? And that's a valid question. That's a valid concern because ego, your mind, everything, you are working to keep you safe. So if peace feels unsafe, then that's not something you're going to be leaning to because you don't recognize it. You've been trained to live in chaos and handle it, right? You could be the best chaos management consultant ever. And I'm side-eyeing myself because I do risk assessments in my other life. But it's because I've lived in consistent threat. And even saying that out loud is sad, but think about this. Living in consistent threat looks different for different people. Being an African American female in America, I live in consistent threat, right? That's beyond my own trauma story. So showing up in certain places is a risk for me. In some places physically. This is how we are trained to be on that hyper-vigilant thing, right? So when something is too quiet, when people are smiling at you a little bit too much, when you meet this amazing person and they show up for you in every way you need to, you're questioning it, right? What do you want from me? Why are you here? What's really going on? But when we look into scripture, Isaiah 26:3 doesn't say God gives partial peace. It says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Perfect peace, not scattered moments of calm, but peace that keeps you, peace that holds you. And that means peace isn't a reward, it's something that we are gifted from, right? God always says that. That's like a main element throughout scripture is peace, the symbol of the dove, right? Peace. It's something that when you learn chaos and trauma, that's like speaking a foreign language many times. Another way trauma shows up is hyper-independence, right? Hyper-independence is actually trauma hiding in plain sight. So let's sit here for a moment. Some of us don't recognize our own chaos because we get badges and certificates and rewards and degrees. Ooh, I'm stepping on some toes right now, aren't I? We don't call it dysfunction, we call it drive. We call it determination. We call it being the strong one. We call it, I got it. I'm on it. I'll take care of it. I don't need help. Don't worry about it. That is trauma hiding in plain sight. Because the truth of the matter is you never ask for help because you've learned people can't be trusted. Oof. The people who were supposed to protect you and keep you safe did not do that. Or the person that you trusted the most caused the most pain. You stayed busy because silence is scary. And that's one of my favorites. Favorites using air quotes. I stay busy because when it gets too quiet, I start to think about the stuff I'm trying to avoid. And there's the key, right? If you can't face it, you can't fix it. If you don't acknowledge it, you can't heal it. So some of us work, stay busy, get that next degree, get that next certificate, get on that stage, get that reward, because stillness is scary. You keep over-functioning because being needed feels safer than being known. Whoa. Let's sit here for a moment. Being needed feels safer than being known. If they know me, if they know what I've been through, or if they knew what I had to do to survive, they would not look at me the same way. It's a weird version of imposter syndrome, right? I don't want you to really know who I am. I want you to know me for my accolades and my achievements and my accomplishments, because I don't want you to know the real me, because it's safer that way. But that's not balance. Again, that's trauma in the driver's seat. Because if you never allow somebody to get close enough to know you, that's going to be an element in life that you won't experience, to feel what it feels like to be safe. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you felt safe? And then the second part of that question is, who was around you? Who was around you during that time when you felt safe? How long ago was that? Or has it ever been your experience? In the world, we praise people for what you do, right? They call you strong, they call you dependable, you're so on top of it, you're that go-to person, the trope of the strong black female. Well, you know what? On most days, I don't want to be that. Just because I can doesn't mean I want to. I want softness. I want dusty rose. I want flowers. I want to sleep late and not wake up in automatic response mode. Anybody else? Anybody else? Right when you wake up, your trauma kicks in. Okay, what do I have to do? This, that. It's chaos. I've had to be intentional with my slow starts in the day. And for me, it's waking up earlier so I can have that moment to just be. What is that? Just be. You're not looking at electronics, you're not checking your phone, you're not looking at the news, you just wake up and just experience life. What does that look like? Get a coffee, get a tea, sit with yourself, breathe in the air, look at the sky, whatever that looks like for you, but just be. And that's a challenge. I'm gonna challenge some of you, if you want to participate, for a week. In the morning, even if you have to wake up a little bit earlier, it doesn't have to be a whole hour, because I know I love my sleep. And I know some of us have sleep issues, right? So we want to use and get our sleep as much as we can. But if you wake up a little bit earlier, don't turn on your phone. Don't check on who was liking your post and what your analytics look like. Don't check the news, your email. Just wake up and be, and do what you want to do for yourself. What feels soft to you? What is that experience? Do that for a week and see what the outcome is, and report back. I want to know how that goes. So, and as we kind of build on this, we understand that God is not impressed by burnout. Let's be real. God is not impressed by burnout. He's trying to rescue you from it. So we have to be intentional and have an awareness of what we're really doing when we're saying, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get that next thing. I'm going to go ahead and chase that next thing. What are we really doing? Because underneath that hyper productivity is exhaustion. Let's be real. There's probably questions in your mind asking, if I stop, who am I? If I don't have these titles, who am I? If I don't have these rewards, these certificates, these certifications, these degrees, who am I? If I slow down and just be me, will anyone stay? That's a heavy thing to process. And is it a question that you can answer? Who are you? Without your titles, without your roles, without your accolades, who are you? Refocusing on peace requires a spiritual repattering, a relearning, a re-education of sorts. You have to be intentional with it. It's not just what you feel, it's what you train your life to accept. We're going to sit here for a second. It's what you train your life to accept. So if you're accepting a relationship that brings chaos, if you're accepting a friendship group that brings chaos, if you're accepting a job, not talking about I need to pay money, I need to pay bills, but if you're stepping into a role knowing that that chaos is there, and you can go someplace else and do something without that chaos, it's a way you're training yourself to put yourself in places that you feel safe functioning in, and that's going to just keep repeating. When you're used to fear being your motivator, rest does feel like a weakness. So we're gonna sit here for a second. What does rest look like to you? And I think I've mentioned this before. Now, granted, I did grow up in a military household, and I also was active duty, and I'm a firm, live the life. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Like, there's no excuse for rest. But let's think about this. When I got sick with COVID, everybody was telling me to rest. And it got to the point where what I thought was rest was not rest. And I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of times I get annoyed when I'm sick because it slows me down. I have so much stuff to do. I can't rest. I can't. But why? Why? I guarantee you that stuff's going to be there. So my question to you is, what does rest look like to you? Because a lot of us who are in this space, this healing journey, rest can feel like a weakness, right? You're lazy. You're not supposed to be able to lay down. You're not supposed to take your full lunch hour. How dare you? Yeah, you're the first one to show up and the last one to leave. What does rest feel like? And when your nervous system is wired for survival, calm feels suspicious, right? You just met this new person and they're amazing, and you're like, they're up to something. Or that person sure is boring. Why? Why are you have an adverse reaction to somebody who's bringing calmness? It's because your brain is wired for the chaos. So calm feels boring. Calm feels suspicious. Rest feels lazy. It's a re-educating, a retraining of your nervous system. So let's say when your love language might be acts of service. But for who? Is it acts of service for everyone else but you? So think about all the things that you've done for other people, all the places you've showed up. Are you doing the same thing for yourself? So this is an invitation as we move through this process in this season, is to see how we can do less with more intention. Let's think about that. Having to work for peace, mentally having to figure out how to rest, And no joke, like I had to text that. I'm not text it, but search it. I was like, what exactly is rest? Because for me, I thought rest was just laying down. I'm like, I'm laying down. Is that not rest? No, because if your brain is going 23,000 miles a minute, you're not resting. You're not. It's like the times when you wake up from sleep and you're still tired. It's the same thing. So we want to be intentional. And again, I want this, when you hear this episode, the next 7 days, I want you to focus on what peace and rest looks like and be intentional on inviting it in to your life more. Peace is protective, it's productive, and it also it requires you to refocus on your own internal rhythm and your worth. Because here's the thing, you can listen to all the master classes, all the coaching systems, all the things that you think you need, someone else telling you what to do. But it's never going to be successful if it's not attuned to your own rhythm. So an example of that for me is if I'm listening to a coaching session and it says you have to be up at 4 a.m. and you have to be running down the street with motivational things blasting in your ear and this, that, and look, that's not me. It's not. I know my rhythm, and it sure the hell is not getting up at 4 a.m. It's not. If I have to, like to catch a plane, if I have to because there's a special project going on with work or something going on with my family, yes. But my natural rhythm will not have me up at 4 a.m. Now, this whole pre-menopausal thing going on here has really messed my sleeping schedule up, so that might change. But right now, you're not going to have me up at 4 a.m. doing anything, because that's not my natural rhythm. My natural rhythm ebb and flows. It the moon cycles and everything else. You'll have me up around 7. And that still gives me enough time to have my space. So something that's attuned to my rhythm is going to be much more successful, because I'm already having to retrain myself of not living in trauma. And you want and need to refocus on what your worth is, away from your roles, away from the chaos, away from the accolades. Who are you showing up in your life as without that? Because a lot of us lean on those things because we feel that is what identifies our worth, but it doesn't. Who we are and how we show up is really in how we identify our worth. Because at the end of the day, all those things can be taken away. You're still you. And if you don't know who that is, you're going to be lost. So let's go into our reflection practice. So I want to ask yourself, and I know I've asked a lot of questions. So hopefully, I think by now you probably come to these episodes with a pen and a paper. I try to put all the prompts in the description part, and also the journals and the planners that I have on the website that are free. They're free for you. Can help you track some of these questions as you do this healing journey with me. So these questions are: where in your life have you normalized chaos and called it strength? Let me repeat that. Say it a little bit louder for the people in the back. Where in your life have you normalized busyness and chaos and called it strength? Phrases like burnout, vicarious trauma, all that stuff come to mind. The second question: what parts of your hyper independence are rooted in fear of being disappointed, rejected, or forgotten? Again, what parts of your hyper independence is rooted in fear of being disappointed, rejected, or forgotten. And the final question to reflect on is, how would my life look if I made decisions from peace instead of chasing? Oof. My goodness. I know. So I'm coming for y'all today. How would your life look if you made decisions from peace instead of chasing the next thing? Now, if those reflection questions weren't enough, let's look at what our journal prompt is for the week. God, I surrender my addiction to chaos, to busyness. I no longer want to be energized by survival. Teach me how to receive peace as a way of life. Help me trust stillness. Help me welcome calm without fear. And help me unlearn the need to prove my strength through exhaustion. Peace is my birthright, not my reward. I release the addiction to chaos. I am safe, even when I slow down. I am safe, even when I rest. God is with me in the stillness, and I will not sabotage the softness He's sending me. So yeah, I know some toes are hurting. Probably some people have had to pause this, resettle, and finish it. But I know for me, this also was a topic that called me out on a lot of things. And it's a way, again, of reframing and retraining not just our mind and our brain, but our nervous system. Know that new connection isn't boring, they're safe. No, it's okay to sleep. It's okay to sleep. No, you really don't need that next certification or the next thing to hang on your wall. Ask yourself what the motivation is. What is your why? What is it rooted in? So, with that being said, I'm so happy that you've gotten this far. If you feel this episode would help somebody else, send it over to them. Share it. That's what this is here for. And I would love to hear any feedback you have about this episode, or just ways that this next 7 days you're going to be intentional about how you show up from the foundation of peace. As always, you guys take care, stay safe, and chase your joy.